You'll notice there is some sticky notes. There's one sticky note there. This is the smallest piece of paper. There's nothing on it. I will ask you to just put something there. All right, thanks for coming. I just thought I would put this quote from Mr. Albert. He's a close friend of Bassam. Who's seen this? Who's heard this quote before?
I have seen.
You've all heard this quote? You understand it? We all understand it well. Okay, no, we keep trying to do something and we expect different results, but if we don't change some parameters, nothing's going to change. Just keep this in mind as we go through the presentation. Okay, EV stands for earned value in this presentation, and today's topic is about earned value. I'm not here to challenge what you know about earned value, but I'm going to say that this top subject of earned value has been a discussion for the last 3 to 4 years since we got IFS in the company. And we've been trying with the planners and with the previous project managers to implement this, this performance project metric. And we haven't been successful as such. We want to be successful. So just remember the previous slide. So I decided to have a debate with the MDs and to say what's the best way forward so we can move down this path, because I'm sure you've heard that a lot of companies are using earned value. You don't have to be a big construction company and having billions of dollars, but even smaller companies, small contractors are using it. I'm not myself an earned value expert. I do not have construction experience. All my projects in IT, a lot of them are not over budget. I am within budget, but a lot of them I don't sometimes tend to meet the deadlines. For the last 3 years, with the help of the internal team here and from all the research and the reading I've done, this is really an interesting topic, earned value, and it's going to be for the company. So I'm going to go through the presentation. So to keep you in the picture of what was discussed with the executives and the MDs, and so tell you what we're planning to do. Okay, and of course I will go through a little example of earned value just so we can all have an understanding. Take it easy on the questions, don't get too technical with me. All right, Hella, the question is, what I asked them is, are we ready in the organization for earned value? So, this is a good question, right? And then we say is we want to use earned value, but I would add the first question we should ask is, are we ready on the for this earned value? Right? That's a good starting point. Okay, because the last thing we want to do is start an earned value program and fail down the way. Now, this project maturity matrix, I'm going to show it to you now. I want you to look at it, and then there's going to be a number, five different levels. I want you on this sticky note to write the number you think where this company is, and then pass and give the don't put your name, just put the number, and then give the sticky note to Jonah. So if you can also level 1, this is level 1. Okay, level 1 says processes are disorganized, chaotic, project success on individual. Okay, read it for yourselves. We have cost schedule problems. Okay, people don't have PM background. Don't worry about the technology for now. So this is the first level of the matrix. The second level is there is some PM processes for projects. Okay, we are successful in many of the projects with management support, but we do have schedule problems. And the third one, there are standard processes. Okay, just take a minute to read. These are the 5 levels. Take a minute to read these. If you have any questions, ask. But just write the number you think from the years you've been in the company, where we are. Don't say it out loud. Just write the number on the sticky note. Come closer.
Okay.
Come. If you can come sit here. I can't zoom. Sorry, Ryan. Can you see it now? I hope you can. You want me to go through the window? You can all see it, or you want me to show it? Okay. All right. If you've written on your sticky note, just give the sticky note to Jonah, please. And remember, those who
That's the
cannot,
number of the link.
those in Kanar
No,
should
no,
focus
no.
on Kanar, and those. If you're somewhere in between, put it on the worst case scenario. Yeah, if it's between 2 and 3, put it on 2. It's between 1 and 2, put it on 1, because there could be some overlap.
Is there a symbol in it?
There is a minus. There is a minus level.
I'm just kidding. Don't
No,
edit
don't worry.
this off, please.
That's got nothing to do with us. Don't worry. You got them, John? Okay. Collect them, because I'm not going to go to the next slide until I have them all. Brian's. Okay. We got them all?
Yes.
Right. I will reveal the answers later. Basala, I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay. From experts who have implemented earned value, and this is from, I can't recall from which book or article, they say basically if we are not on a level 3 maturity level, we should not consider earned value. The same thing, Yani, about diving. If you want to learn how to dive, you would start from a small board, then you would build your way to the top board. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Some of you are saying, I wonder what number I said. Did I say a 3? Did I say a 2? Okay, did I say a 4? Okay, so the same applies to the use of earned value. If you don't have a project organization, as I mentioned, with a maturity level of 3 or higher, trying to apply it will lead to failure. And that's what many companies have tried to do. They've said, hey, let's have a crack at it, but the foundation of the procedures. So during my meeting with MDs, I decided to hit this question. Okay, because I keep getting calls and having talks with AKM, and he says, do we have cost control? We want to use on IFS and all this stuff. So I said, let's not talk about IFS or what have you. Let's ask a question now. The first question, have we ever been successful in implementing earned value in IMCO and Kanar? Whether we've done it or not? No. Agree?
Yes.
No, we have not been successful. Doesn't mean we've tried and we failed. We haven't done it, so we haven't been successful. But we have the tools. We have the tools. We've got Primavera, we have IFS. Okay. So now let me just throw one at you. So why do you think we haven't been successful? Anyone? Anyone? I'm throwing this question at you. Why do you think earned value implementation has not been successful in the company? And I got feedback from the executives, but I don't want to share now what they said.
Because there's an absence of transparency in the company.
Okay, that's one question. That's one answer.
No, I fully agree with that.
Don't be shy. Don't worry.
We don't try to do it.
Why haven't we been? We didn't try. Why? Good.
We are
Why?
practicing the traditional management system. We haven't tried. We are following that.
I think there's one previous attempt and we were at the maturity of level 2 and we see that it's...
Okay, that's one answer. Okay, I will now share with you what was said by the executives. The clients have never asked us to implement earned value. Okay, I'm talking a company who's been around for 48 years. Please don't just look at the last 2-3 years, Gina. someone who's been with us in the company knows the history. You know, there's never been a requirement by the client in a contract. Yes, that says
Exactly.
implement earned value. Thus, therefore, we did our own, funds management. We did it. So that was a fair answer.
What do you need
And then
the
just-
owners to request an earned value? That should be an inherent
Yeah, that's another-
internal issue.
That's
I
another
don't
story.
need to have anybody ask me to work on an earned value,
Yeah.
okay, where I should be doing that to start with. That's
Yeah,
how
but
I'm going to
that-
measure my success.
Exactly. That's another story.
It is not for the benefit of the client, it is for the benefit of the company.
Yes,
And
agree.
the project.
And
And the project.
the project.
Okay,
yes, the
so
company,
obviously-
not the client, so the client will
Yeah, but obviously,
not be keen to ask in every contract the
Agree,
contractor
agree.
to implement
Agree.
it.
but the question was, in the primary, when I said for the last 45 years, why didn't you guys go down this path? Because earned value has been around for long. The message was, the client never forced us to do it. So basically, the client is dictating how, what we should be doing. And always in the meetings I've had with the project managers and super users, DUCs, always when we're discussing this IFS earned value, I always get the message, but the client wants us to submit this in Excel, but the client wants this, okay? So halas, it's true, without the client we can't live, but then that's another story. But then there's our own internal requirement, as you're saying.
It's an internal
Yes,
requirement.
okay. So, this is very important. Hala, I'm going to give you a hint here, and you answered it. Normally, when you look at this pyramid, I don't know what this is called, but you've got the people, which is the foundation of any organization, and then you've got, I call it the 3 Ps, then the program, the procedures, okay, come on top, and then the programs. Okay, so of course, the width of the pyramid, the people, they're the foundation of a company, then the program. So obviously it means you've got to have good, solid people. For those of you who have read a book by Jim Collins called Good to Great, he says about why companies go great, it's because of the people. So basically, I totally agree with this pyramid. And changing procedures and people basically who have experience with earned value, and procedures know EVM management system, IFS is a tool. So, also, Hella, how many people in this room have actually worked with earned value in the last 5 years? If you haven't been in this company, you haven't worked with earned value. But obviously, if you've come from abroad or another company, you may have worked. How many of you have worked with earned value?
For the last 5 years?
No,
Or before also?
No, for the last 5 years.
Last 5 years we were
Okay,
together.
in your career.
Yes.
In career, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So there is some experience,
Yes.
okay, but it's not the critical mass, as we say. So we have the tools. So my message was to the MDs, we have the tools. We have IFS. It can handle earned value. We can use something called work breakdown structure. We have the tools. But the thing is, do we want to go down the path, okay, without changing 2 ingredients? And that's what we've been trying to do when we're talking about the P148, we tried a project, and the 167 now we're trying. So that's why this meeting took place, because at the end of the day, we're trying to cut corners, shortcuts, and we're trying to go to the tool, saying from the champions of some of you who have earned value experience, we want to go ahead and try it. But wait a minute. We've been here for 4 years. What has changed? Why do you think this time we're going to be successful? That's why I had the slide before. This is very, very important, okay? For those of you, look, it's in your heart to work in earned value. Some of you I want to see it happening. But we've tried for 3-4 years, it's not working. So I believe it's got nothing to do with the tool. I believe it's got to do with these 2 ingredients, the processes and the people. These have to be addressed before we can go to the next step. And I'm going to say one thing, besides the processes and the people, there's something else. I'll mention it in a bit. That's equally more important, why we can't go to and start using earned value. Okay? Culture is very important.
My answer, but I was not courageous enough to say it. The people did not have the culture. This is the answer why it was not implemented, or if implemented was not
Yes.
successful.
Yeah.
Because the people at the
Yes. So this is the people. I put nice people, of course.
No, I cannot agree. No, the culture has nothing to do with running company. You know, if you have procedures, if you have trained people, if you have procedures and you want to implement it, it has nothing to do with it.
Just one question, yes and no. Yes, the current status of the culture, excuse me. No, you have to change the culture to adapt to the procedures and the changes you're talking about. Please, what is the culture? It's a temperament, a sentiment of us at the current stage. We're ready to use it, but we're not equipped. There's no training, there's no
There
procedures.
is enough training and enough
Fahisham.
procedure.
Yes, yes. But currently, there is no training, there is no
Which
procedures.
means this has nothing to do with.
No, but what makes the culture? Okay, we don't want to talk. What makes the culture what it is? Okay, the culture can change by something called change management.
The setup that we are having is not.
The same as we implement IFS. We haven't the culture before, but once the procedure is there and we implement it,
Okay.
the culture again.
Okay, so it's got to do with these need to be addressed before we can continue. So the next few slides, I can show you an example of EVM. Okay, just to recap, and we'll just have a quick. Try and go quickly through this. Okay. So we all know what earned value is. Okay, let's look back.
I want to see the definition that you wrote.
I didn't write this. These are coming.
Okay.
Yeah, these are coming. I put two definitions from two different sources, and probably there'll be 3-4 others or more. But basically, in a nutshell, okay, you want to monitor the project plan and work completed, earned. You know, this earned is the one that's. Okay, next slide. Okay, we'll go through an example here. Let's look at the sample project. This is a project. This is from one of the books I read. I summarized it and I put this sample. It was a very nice, simple summary. And you can go on the internet and go through YouTube and see a zillion different examples. So this is a project that had a budget of 1 million, and it was to be completed in 4 quarters. And the plan cost for each quarter was 300,000. And so far, the actual spend was 300,000. So there'll be a graph like this. Okay. Do we all agree with this statement? That using a traditional cost management approach, everything. Right, this looks great. Okay, you see it, all of you? Quarters, this is the budget over there. We are here now. This is where we are now in time. This was the plan cost, and this is how much we spent. Okay, go next slide.
You have to know what you have achieved with spending.
Yes. The work completed during this period.
Excellent.
Order.
Excellent. That's
That's
why I'm
for
showing you
sure.
this. Okay, but looking from this graph, okay. Okay, looking from this graph, everything appears to be good.
No.
Looking from this graph, please.
Just
I have
explain
to
to
the-
That's
Looking from this
No,
graph.
not look with the
No, but he's gonna explain that.
It looks
It
beautiful.
looks that only you spend this much money.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
I am project manager.
Exactly.
Listen, without
Doesn't mean it is
forming
good. It looks
you know, I will not accept this as it looks good.
Let me go to the next slide, Hisham. I'm saying from the current data that you see at the moment, everything looks good. This is why we're saying traditional cost. Okay, so this is what you're saying now. This is deceptive. Okay, because it doesn't have the ingredient we need.
Yes, something like
Okay. All right. Agree? This doesn't determine the project. It just, this is what they call funds management.
Yes.
Okay, that's now we're beginning to touch on your earned value. Okay? So we would need to compare the physical. So on the road TV, so this is where earned value comes into place. Okay, you need to have an integrated baseline, okay, with the scope and the budgeted costs. Okay, I don't want to go into too details, And now let me just add this.
Okay, this means we are doing end value, at least in our projects, but we do not call it end value.
I don't know. I
For me, because always we have to compare expenditure with the progress inside.
I mean, I agree. It's common sense that anybody would compare the costs to the work completed.
We do not call it end value, but we do it.
Yeah.
We compare as a project management or project manager. We compare progress and with the expenditure. We cannot look only on the.
How do you? I don't want to again go into detail, but to compare the progress, which is on time, how do you change that to value?
Value.
Yes. How does the progress become
Every
value?
project we are doing this. And we can make a presentation for you for
Measure
tomorrow.
performance using the
one of
ways
our
of
projects.
contract.
At a certain point of time, at a certain point of time, you have completed this part of work.
Yes.
The cost of this part of work is known from the budget. You have, yes, the cost
We
of
can
this.
make a presentation.
And it can be transferred with the payment received because when you
Yes,
finish
yeah.
progress, there is a
Yes.
payment coming to you.
Correct.
So when you receive a
Oh
payment,
boy. Oh boy.
No,
Okay.
okay, the
Okay.
value.
Okay. Listen.
Payment
Hey,
is
let me
not the
stop.
cost.
Let me continue.
no, it's not the cost. I'm saying you do have a cost and you have a payment.
You have an
And
income and an expenditure.
You have to always compare
The
between
cost of-
income and cost.
The
Okay.
cost of each item.
No, but the payment
You have-
sometimes is not related to.
Yeah,
it's not
I
related.
understand. How do you?
The cost of each item. I mean, there is a budget for each item.
Can we continue and we'll talk about this in a bit.
No, but Hassan, why I'm saying this? Because you are assuming that we are not doing this. We are doing this. And we can.
Yes.
You cannot say
That's-
we
that's-
are doing our work. This is our business. We
Listen.
can make a presentation for you
No.
tomorrow. No. اسمعني. Once somebody is saying that we are not doing EV, this means we are not doing our job.
No, that's got nothing to do with
No,
it.
no,
We
are looking at the
let me put it this way. There's an
Somebody-
attempt. We don't have an earned value program in place. Yeah,
Program
Hisham.
in place.
That's-
This
we
do
are not
mean-
using EV.
This do not mean that we are not having tools to monitor the expenditure and to monitor the progress and to see that we are going to the right track or not. If somebody is trying to put this to the higher management, this is a wrong message that is being
We are
put
not.
up.
We are not. We are not. Because if you are using it, you're using it for you, I agree. Maybe you're using it for you. على اجتهادك انت.
As a company,
Yes,
maybe
but we are not using this as a project performance metric that we should all rely on. Because this is what I keep hearing. Well, I'm doing it in a way, and I'm doing it in a way.
But every project is having its own report.
No. In IFS, it's not happening. Why can't we do it in IFS?
Let me separate two things. I mean, the concept of EV, which is comparing cost to actual completed work, this is a concept that everybody should be implementing, and I think many people are doing that, or should do at least, but I don't know, but many of them are doing. This is different from, yes, it can be facilitated by putting a software to help people to do that, but it doesn't mean, if that software is not there yet, it doesn't mean it is not implemented. It doesn't mean it is not at all implemented.
Done? Are we benefiting from this?
Yes, sure.
How?
Yeah. هلا احنا لحظة.
Depends
If
on how
somebody
good
wants that we
and
make a
good.
presentation how we control our projects, we can show it to everybody. To you and to everybody.
From a personal point of view, can I say something?
Yes.
From a personal point of view, my experience in the company over 4 years, I have witnessed mad rushes as it comes towards the end of the year when we submit invoices to bring in revenue to the company. To me, that is not a proper utilisation of earned value philosophy.
Agree.
That's my opinion.
That's something else, yeah.
No, it's exactly what he's trying to explain.
About the
Earned
invoicing.
value. No, I'm sorry.
About the invoicing
Sorry.
in the last.
I
month
agree
of
with
the-
I agree with Mr. Jassam that the earned value is something which is progressive throughout the whole period of the contract and not just at a given point in time.
There is always room for
I don't think it's a criticism, Isha.
for progress and for
Trying to
improving.
identify-
Listen, there is always a room for improving. But what I'm against that we only looking at the splendid amount.
No, it's not criticism, a
No.
commitment.
This
I don't
this
see
is
it as a
a message I
criticism.
do not accept.
I see it as an observation of fact.
Excuse me. No, excuse me. The whole debate is we've paid a lot of money on this IFS system, and excuse me, if you go to the IFS, which should be our tool for cost control, the question has been, why can't we use earned value on IFS? And we've tried. So if indeed we've been using earned value in the company, and as I'm here, you don't know, yes, fine.
You
Why?
cannot control.
No, please. Hisham, I have to continue with the presentation. I'm not here to say
We are
no.
not doing this thing.
No. Why haven't we moved to IFS? That's because we don't have a program in place. Yes, في مجهود that people are doing earned value. And again, I think there's a misunderstanding between the revenue and the performance versus earned value, and I'll show you in some slides, because that was discussed the other day. Oh, well, we're getting revenue at payment milestones. This has nothing to do with earned value. You agree? You agree?
Sure.
Okay. Very good.
Hassan, I would say, if you don't have a software for accounting, does not mean that you do not have accounting at all. Before softwares were created, people were keeping accounts. If you don't have a software for cost control, doesn't mean that you cannot make cost control. Cost control can be done.
But what's worse?
It has been done for years. and
Agreed,
years
but
ago.
what's sad,
So
you have the software for earned value. You have the software, and it's not being used.
Yes, even though
that's the
earned
message.
value could have been implemented without using
Okay.
software.
And we go back. I say earlier on, please, Hisham. Yes, you may be doing it, but the question is, why aren't we using IFS for earned value? Why aren't we getting the indicators? Then why? We've been struggling many years to move to that platform, and it's not working for
انا
us.
ممكن احكي لك ليش؟ لانه انت مش عامل لينك لا للبريميرا
It's got nothing to do with that.
ولا
No, that's got nothing to do with that.
لا كيف؟
No, it's got nothing to do with that, because basically, no, I don't want to go down this path, because when you say مش عامل link بين Primavera, you're now going to tell me I'm duplicating my work. So I'm going to tell you now, no, it's got nothing to do with duplication, and even if it did have duplication, are you telling me you will not hire someone extra to duplicate the work so you can do some savings on an earned value program? This is what I will say.
اذا انت بدك
Please.
اسمع اذا انت بدك if you want to use only the IFS for هلا احنا بنحكي عن earned value.
Earned
We
value.
are doing the earned value from monitoring the progress, the value of the work done, and the cost of the work done. Not related to the payment money.
Exactly.
Yani the concept can be
Yes, we are doing
implemented,
it in
maybe
other
not very
software,
efficiently
other than
without the software,
Okay.
but it can be implemented.
If you want it in IFS,
Why hasn't it? Why? Look, this is maybe the 7th presentation I've done on WBS and earned value since 3 years ago. And no, excuse me, but we haven't moved.
This is the first I attended.
No, well, you attended. Well, we've done many
This is
presentations.
the first.
Yeah, well, there were BUCs here
Okay,
to talk to
that's
you.
why maybe you are for the first time I'm giving my opinion. If you want the earned value on the IFS, we have to find the tool.
That's the tool. It's there.
Habibi, that we have to find the tool between what we are doing right now, okay, and the IFS.
There's no. This is the tool. Let me continue, please.
My-
We've sidetracked from
my,
this.
Please,
Please, please.
please.
John, I called it. I have to get some water. Okay, back to this one. Okay, on this project. So we've broken down 10 milestones that need to be accomplished. Okay, each having a weighted value of $100. All right. So each time a milestone is completed, you can say the project has earned 100,000. So this was the screen before: planned cost and actual costs. Now we'll change it. We'll call it planned value actual costs, and now we'll add the 2 milestones that have been completed here. So now that you've got the milestone, a kind of progress measuring system in place, okay, which is what you're doing. And at this point in time, since we said you should have completed 3, right? And you've only completed 2, So therefore, each one is 100K. So basically, we've earned 200K. That's what we want to see in IFS. That's what's capable of happening in IFS, and it hasn't been happening. And that's why we met, and we want to take this forward so we can see this in IFS. And yes, and people keep telling me Primavera integration and tools. They keep blaming the tool. And I say it's got nothing to do with the tool. Yes, we've lost super users, we've lost BUCs in IFS, but again, the MDs have invested in this. We have this tool. It's a beautiful tool. It's not the best, but this IFS is capable to do this. Okay, whether you duplicate work, whether you don't, we can do it. We haven't done it. Okay, for many reasons, as you're saying. So again, you all know this. We'll just go for it very quickly. So there's been some physical earned value for 2 stones. All right. Okay, so here you can see that it's running behind schedule. We'll go very fast here. Okay, so it's running negative $100.
100,000.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. All right. Agree? So this is all the basics of earned value.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so this is it. So this has an overrun in cost and in exactly. So this project is in not really the guy who's managing the project. All right. So and then we talk about planned funds. So the traditional project cost management. These are planned. This is what we're saying, Hisham. This is the kind of information that the MDs get. The plan versus the actual cost. This is the information the MDs get.
What do you mean by planned and actual?
يعني انت the budgeted and what's
You mean the IFS?
No, on the IFS because now we're using CBS. But that's what the MDs see.
But they
When
don't see the
finance
progress.
reports to them, right? This is what
But
they
they
do.
don't see the progress and
Yes.
On the IFS?
Yes. So finance are producing this, and we're creating something called the CBS, any kind of WBS CBS, and this is what we get. So we're only using this dimension currently on IFS. Okay, so that's good. So again, this is the earned value project management, planned earned. So you got the variance for schedule and planned and the true cost here. Okay, so this is what we want to do on the system. Let me just skip through this. All right. So again, it's not again from reading about earned value, many articles and speaking to people. Earned value does not prevent cost overruns. It gives you an early warning indicator, okay, which is good because if you have an early warning indicator, it gives you enough lead time to react. And again, but to get the results of earned value, again, that's why we keep saying we need to have a system in place because when you're measuring progress, again, and I'll show you some slides, you don't want to be, what's the word, subjective in your measuring of performance because a lot of people tend to be subjectives, getting feedback because if you put a subjective progress, whatever type of progress method you use, and then this will affect the whole bottom line. All right. Okay, so the project manager at the end of the day needs to know answers to all these questions very quickly. All right, at any point in time. That's what you guys need to know.
Can I just say something? Because I think that's exactly what Hisham's saying. He does know that maybe it isn't physically presented the way this is going to present it, but he is in control and does know his income versus expenditure.
Yes, he's definitely
Might
updating
be
it somewhere.
unique to him or something.
Yeah, he's
but
definitely
it's not
updating
unique
it
to the
somewhere.
organisation. That's
Yeah.
I think
Now
that,
I understood the issue. The issue is that we want to have the other figures on the IFS instead only of how much we spend.
Yeah,
and how much
yeah. But then outside this session, I will talk to you about the integration with Primavera outside this session because this was mentioned again in the meeting and I refused because we did the integration, we did many projects, and we just did not implement it. And then even is we don't need to do integration. And when people tell me, oh, Sam, there's duplication of work, I say to myself, well, if in Primavera you have 20,000 tasks or activities, I'm not telling you in IFS to put 20,000. I'm telling you put 2,000. I'm saying even if you put the 2,000, let the guy sit and spend
You can
6
put a
hours.
summary. You
Yeah.
can put a summary.
Okay, bravo. Anyway, so but even if you, yeah.
And what we can do, I think, if Primavera tells you that we have completed, let's say, 80% of the scope, not 80% of the.
Yeah, yes, exactly. You can move that higher.
This can be shown
Yes.
in the IF.
Yes, so but integration is there.
And
Integration.
we have to spend, let's say, we should have been spent, let's say, 85 of the cost of this 80.
Exactly. So we can treat this, we will treat this. There are ways to directly link it, and there's another system, or we can do it manually. We'll discuss this later. But now is again, so these are the answers. So that would be the planned value, this would be the earned value, and this would be the actual costs, and this would be the CPI and SPI. All right. Okay. So these are some of the benefits of earned value. Okay. Some of the if you want to just quickly go through these. Okay, I gave a little document, 2 documents to the executives. I can forward this document. It's about 6 pages.
Email.
What was it?
By email, I think that.
Yeah, by email, yeah. Again, then we go back, and to do earned value, WS is the key, okay? I always say WS won't be easy, won't be simple.
So not every project is having WBS.
A kind of a WBS.
Huh?
A kind of a WBS.
No, we have.
Yeah.
For our construction project, we have.
Yeah. You want it on where? Okay, we may have the WBS, but this is a challenge here. This is what we need to do. Okay? First, so you define the work, right? Then you schedule the work, and now this is what we need to do.
Cost is labor per day.
Yes, we need to allocate the budget to the WBS.
Because without WBS, we can't get paid.
Yes, exactly.
We have to give
The
it
bullet quantity gives you fully
Yes,
defined.
yes, exactly. But this is what we need to do. Okay?
But this last thing,
Yeah.
budget is not labor. Rest everything is done.
Exactly.
We are doing all the things, but budget is
There's
not.
no labor.
And at the end of the day, I don't want to go into this debate again, but I've seen it. We've had an issue with the system. Not an issue because you've been under pressure where the budget has been locked, and the budget has been locked at a cost element level. Okay, and Samuddin is here. He can vouch for that. But the issue is we're telling you, and when we want to do a WBS, a budgeting, so like let's say you have steel or cable worth $1 million. Now you are basically controlling this budget of the steel for $1 million, and that's what's locked, and you don't want to exceed that. But now when we're going to go to the WBS concept, the steel has to be broken down into all the activities it's going to be used, and the budget should be put there, and that's what you want to control. And by the way, once you control it at that level, you will beat finance. And finance will not come and say, hey, but our problem here, we don't want to kind of block it. So there's the fear of maybe also one of the reasons in IFS is when you break the budget down to the WBS and we lock it for you, it's going to make your life very miserable, and revising the budget becomes another issue. So that can be addressed.
The operation, nobody should fear anything.
Exactly.
Yes.
Nobody should fear
And
anything.
you wanna have IFS controllers. I mean, I don't, as a project manager, I will not go and do the program itself. I do have a planner with me, but then I have to interfere with each and every activity. The same thing with IFS.
Yeah, but I think, okay.
And then once you put it in the procedure, then it's imposed upon everyone.
Yes, okay, but again, my message was here is all the projects we put in IFS have been locked at the cost element level. Yani the project was locked. Yeah, this has hindered. This has hindered.
I tell you one thing.
This has made it reluctant for us to go down the WS breakdown. Maybe
I will
also.
tell you one thing. We have to have a system that allows us to control the project without killing the project. When the
Agreed.
it is a small
Agreed.
little difference, okay, between control and killing.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes. Because when you kill the project, you're affecting schedule, and when you're affecting schedule, you may affect the whole.
But and then let's say there is a budget for the steel, and we are going to break the steel into 100 activities.
Yes.
Okay, there was a slight problem in one of the activities, we have to exceed the budget, then the whole project is being blocked.
Yes,
Right?
that
And
should be
nobody
addressed.
do anything till we resolve this issue.
I agree. This is why I'm saying all these things that you're mentioning are part of the hinders
And
when we
this,
can't
and
go
I'm
forward.
telling you, and this may be preventing the project managers from breaking down
Yes.
or having the fear from breaking
That's
down.
what we're saying.
Because if we break down the budget, the project will be on hold for ages.
Yes, agree. I agree.
Right?
This is being.
And we have to have the smart system, not
So exactly, when we go down, did you hear this, Sam? When we go down the WS path, that's what we have to change, this policy of locking the budget, okay? And give it to the,
and the
because
project manager shall have
Yeah,
some
responsibility,
flexibility
yeah.
in
Yes.
to move from here
that will all
to
be
there.
documented, okay.
Flexibility is required.
Yeah, operation.
Okay, again, now I don't want to go into too much detail here, but from observing a few projects, okay, estimators, okay, are doing their estimating, but they have a time constraint. Okay, they have a time constraint to finish with the estimate to produce, and ideally we're saying, because at the end of the day, the way the system should work in the WBS, and the estimate is made, it's approved, and it goes to the planning. Once we've won the project, planning and it continues the execution. So as you go through these 3 stages, you should be able to drill down back and forth at that level. So this is what we're saying. Ideally, estimators should do a WBS estimating, but they're constrained in time. Else, planning should get involved during the estimating stage to convert a BOQ to a WBS, provided scope and requirements are present.
Sam, excuse me, كل هاي المعلومات, all these informations, all these details are available, but أنا بحكي لك here again. The only problem here, what I feel, what I can see, إنه we should have a smart system. Smart system helps the project manager to complete the project. The worst thing can happen in any company, any contracting company, is to lose time. Okay. While we go discussing about what to do. Okay, and unfortunately, this is killing us here. Let us see, let us wait, and the only thing you cannot bring back is the time that you are losing.
Absolutely.
Okay? This shall be one of the items in this system. When we were discussing the WBS, you can have WBS for every project, because if we do not have WBS, we cannot make schedule, we cannot get our payments.
Yeah.
Every project, any project not have
We find-
WBS, and detailed one.
We totally agree, and this is done.
Okay.
But
And
not the
now,
IFS.
how to link it to IFS, or how to take the figures or the numbers from what we are doing to IFS, and what the management want to see, this can be done also. But again, I'm telling you what we have to look. We have to look for a smart control system.
It's got nothing to do with the system. The system is done.
No, smart control
No,
procedures.
bear with me. What I'm saying, it's how you configure. Let me come in, Hisham. It's how you configure the system. Currently, the system is being configured to reach. I will get you.
Okay,
Yeah.
do not say the system. And if
No.
you don't like
So once you configure the procedures, then we apply to the system.
Yani what's the point of blocking a project at all? What's the point?
This is
I don't want to discuss this. This is not my call.
What is
This
the
is not-
gain that the company will get if you block a project for 1 day?
It is like shooting yourself in the head.
It's like shooting your food.
Not food, man, excuse me. Sometimes shooting the head.
يعني عم بتضر هيك بتضر الشركه يعني you are harming the company. مش it's not the project manager يعني.
Well, I tell you one thing, Hassan, when the client is stopping us, you are going to fight with him. Imagine you are stopping yourself.
Agree.
It's stopping
With all the resources, with all
harming
the
the
resources
company.
on this side.
The project manager should be questioned, I agree, but the project should not suffer.
Agree. We all agree. So we're going to figure out how to change this, and to change this, there has to be a policy in place, a procedure in place.
Exactly.
So again, he says smart system. The systems, all systems you get are done. It's how you use them and how you configure them.
No, I don't, when I say smart system, I do not mean IFS.
Smart words.
يعني I
A system, okay, outside the tool, okay.
Operations.
Okay.
Setup.
We have to talk apples to apples.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to talk about 167 because this was just an example when we got involved in this project that Rashad is working on. We had a meeting with the estimators and we just wanted to understand the process because there was a delay in going into IFS and creating the WBS, CBS, what have you. And that's the whole point of this was saying, the moment we knew the project was going to be awarded to IMCO, the moment we were the shortest bidder, we should have gone into IFS. I'm not saying planners, estimators. We should have gone into IFS and started creating the WBS there, not waited, okay, to do it later on. Because the problem with IFS and with any system, it's data intensive. It needs data. For it, data needs to work. It needs to be ready in place because this is how it works. Estimating, planning, execution. The project managers, they don't want to input data. They want to have the WBS ready with all the demands and they want to just sit and okay. So therefore, by the time you get to the execution, I think 80-90% of the data should be in place in IFS. Now, we don't want to say why it's not. We've lost users from IFS. I have the number. Okay, the company has been downsizing. People want to get the projects going, and no training to super users. There's been a lot of reasons. Okay, we totally agree. But the problem is the system is data. It's hungry. It's hungry for data. Okay, so that's one of the issues, and of course training. You need to train people. Now again, I'm not gonna.
167. I just want to comment. Till now, we do not have full drawings. Till now, WBS is not raised.
But let me show you something here.
More detail is still going on. So
Yeah.
we have to do before it is awarded. I don't think.
Yeah, but I don't want to discuss this. Drawing is just part of the requirement. It doesn't prevent you from doing the WBS, okay? Because you already have the scope that's been assigned to you in the Access program. You'll see next slide. All right.
You can start with simple WBS, then you can make it detail based on the problem.
Okay, guys. Again, EV is easy and not easy. Okay, it can fail, but it does not stop project cost overrun. And it is an early indicator, as we all agree, and it gives you project managers enough lead times. And we don't need people like Brian if it works well. Okay. Going into claims. But no, Brian, we can't do that. Okay. So what I'm saying, currently we are claims is a reactive stage. In other words, we enter into a claim situation when we have a disagreement with scope or something in the contract. Do you agree? Yeah. So if we use a proper change control, earned value, we can always get ready and know there's going to address scope change earlier on so it doesn't end up on a claim. That's ideal. That's Ethiopia.
A claim against who?
Against the client. Or your subcontractor, whatever.
Why do you want to avoid a claim against the client?
You should address it in the change order before. Why do you want to wait till it goes to a claim stage?
Because simply you go to the client with a change order, okay? He blocked his brain.
That's another story.
That's what's been happening on the HBS, man, until now. It's been happening ever since the start of the project.
Okay, that's another topic. With the contract regulations, but yes, you tried to do a change scope order, and if Sakar Rasu, then you ended up doing a claim. That's another story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Change avoiding to reduce it.
Yes.
Reduce it.
Figure out how to increase it. Okay. The Ministry of Defense had a strategy that where the guy said, take the project at cost, but convince. Give me assurance that I'll get a change order. And then they used to take it. This was part of the strategy. You're not putting a high profit margin, take it at cost, but they were reassured they wouldn't get a big change
This
order.
game has been played.
Yeah. I'm telling you one big strategy.
Exactly, of course, yeah.
Okay. Again, one looks at, if you want to go into a program, you want to see why sometimes earned value fails, and there's one earned value specialist. I read his article and he says these are one of the top 10 reasons why earned value fails. So interesting that should we go down this path into IFS and start using the system, we want to address this so we don't end up. But I'm sure, who can tell me where we stand currently with any of these? Incomplete requirements, you just mentioned no shop drawings, for example.
Incomplete, WS not used or not accepted, WS is incomplete. We are facing all, all the items
Interesting.
we are facing.
Interesting. So the guy has hit it spot on. I have the detail of this document. If you want, I don't know if I forwarded it to you. Gina, you have it?
And I will tell you one thing. Yani, every project is different from the other.
Agree.
There is EPC contracts. They are different than when we are doing only construction. They are doing when we are doing only construction and procurement. When we are doing EPC, we should have WBS from day one, because we cannot estimate an EPC contract without the WBS.
Agree.
Got a complete scope.
I think, this is my opinion, cost collection system.
What happens sometimes?
Yes.
Your system outside IFS. Yeah, you're saying
Outside
that's-
IFS,
Agree.
yes.
Agree.
Means
Okay, agree. Procedures.
somebody to know, and collect all costs relevant to the work completed. Because some of the costs come later, so they don't show at this point of time.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
show later.
Yeah.
I don't
The
know.
problem sometimes happen when we do not have all the elements
Yeah.
when we are not the main contractor. When somebody is or some company is between us and the client, and we are not doing let's say the engineering,
Procurement.
then we are suffering, and that's why those projects are suffering
Okay.
because of it.
Okay, let me tell you something. Can I just finish the slide and remind me to mention something about the collaboration system? Because at the end of the day, every team that is working on a project, let's take P167 as an example, you all want to be looking at one system for transparency. Do you agree? You want to be looking at one system. If you have separate systems, what this means, if you have something in Excel, if you have something in Primavera, if you have something in IFS, if you have something on a manual paper, whatever these systems are, if something in mind. Now, and any communication emails are in Outlook or what have you. Now what happens, every time a project manager needs information, he would be holding meetings, coming here, tell me, what results do you have, what results? And these meetings are time consuming, okay, because very important communication. So that's why you hear systems for earned value management systems, okay, the tools, they call them collaboration systems. It's a collaboration tool where you go into one system where you see one version of the truth. When we started this IFS project, this was on the top key objectives that Jawdat and Omar said, we want one version of the truth. To date, we have not been successful, okay, and that's what because if you keep saying, okay, there has to be a primary system in place. And in IT, one of the big challenges I have is when I draw the systems, I have IFS, Primavera, AutoCAD, Salsabil, CostOS. I do this architecture and I look at it and it gives me a headache. And my nightmare is to try and integrate the data between them. So yes, by having separate systems, we have one version of the truth. We don't have one version of the truth. We have in this company 1 million spreadsheets on the servers. And 1 million spreadsheets, and every month we are creating 5,000 spreadsheets. So now I ask you this question: who owns the spreadsheet? The person who's created it. He's on leave. What happens? You need someone else to access it. But here, put this in mind: if you are using the spreadsheets for whatever reason in a core process in the company, then you have a big problem. If you are using the spreadsheet in a core process in the company, you have problem. I once went who remembers Wafa? When Wafa came to do a consultancy a couple of years ago, Hashab Ejam consultancy, بالشركة, and he met you guys. We've had many consultants come on board. But anyway, we had a discussion and I said, guys, what would happen if I switch Excel off in the company? People would scream. People would scream. But there you go. Excel is in fact our competitor to IFS. It is our competitor because it's easy, we're used to it, it's difficult to change. This is also one of the big challenges we have. This is a very big challenge. So if you want to audit the spreadsheets you use, ask yourself, the spreadsheet that I'm receiving from Aboud or Frank, why he's not doing it in IFS?
The problem is much more bigger than
I agree. Let's not talk about it. Maybe it's culture?
No.
Okay, this is, I got this from the database, this is for 167, I was just showing it to the gentleman. They've defined the activities, the floor
Why
system.
can't we link it to milestones? The EV milestone.
Excuse me.
Very simple.
Excuse me. The whole message was I was trying to show here. And look, the client is dictating us to feed information for him. We are the subcontractor. So the client has given us an MS Access program, and he's put the activities that I wish these were in IFS, and he's put the hours planned. I wish these were in IFS, so we could go in IFS do them. So my message was, we are doing it for the client, but we're not doing it for ourselves. Why? And then Joe that had a little, why? Well, I said, this is our problem. Because the client's dictating, yes, you're overwhelmed with Primavera, you're overwhelmed with this client, but there's no one going to the system that we have for the company. So he said, give the company what it deserves. So this is the challenge. Look, they're asking you to input the hours, and we give them the milestones.
So that's what we have.
Yeah. Okay.
Client will not accept it.
No, but this is not.
But then they made a note of this one. This is not my.
One for client, one for here.
But look. When you say duplication, ask yourself. No, when you say
You have to
duplication,
keep the document live till end of the project. You have to work one for company, one for client. It's not about duplication.
it is. That's what it is, because if one for the client, give the client what he wants. But the ending, you have to be in sync. Be in sync at least.
No, what we have to do.
Anyway, let's go. I'm nearly finished. John, what's the time?
It's
3:05.
Okay.
10 minutes past.
Someone mentioned something, I don't know what, but I put this. I was playing a game the other day. My sons came from Australia and they got me this game. And he said, when you start playing the game, it says, what level of difficulty do you want? So I said, give me the easiest level. Okay? Why do you think I chose the easiest level of difficulty to play this game? It was a shooting game and you have to go discover and analyze and puzzles. Because I know that I can't handle anything. I'll be stressed out if I go classic, normal, or impossible. Okay? So I chose easy.
You have to learn.
No, but still, and I know my limitations. Okay.
You start with it, you
Okay.
have to learn, and then you decide whether you're gonna go to impossible or possible,
No, that's got nothing to. This is a game.
Of course,
No,
it's
no.
a game.
Yeah. So I chose this because
Everything in the life. And in the school, you not go to high school when you are 6 years. Go grade 1.
But I agree. But even if I start easy and I finish the game, you think I'm going to go do it normal? No way. Anyway, the issue was it's me, my culture, myself. So back to this message, linking this with IFS. We're implementing what mode in IFS? We're implementing the easy mode in IFS. Why? Why? Because this is our safe zone. Okay? Take it or leave it. We can configure it to be smarter, but it's going to give us more stress, more difficult.
Smarter program.
Smarter system.
Smarter
Okay, all right.
Smart
Why
setup.
can't we link it?
Smart
Yes. Why can't we link it to milestones?
What are you talking about?
The EV, if you go into the list of active like 2000, 1000.
Yeah,
So you can make milestones. And
that's
link
another
it to-
story. That's a discussion between Primavera and IFS.
No.
No, you can't do it.
You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
So it is simple and easy to implement.
No, listen. Look, I am not a specialist in earned value, but from what I know, there are 7 ways to measure progress. 7 ways. Some objective, some subjective. Okay, milestone. Okay, whatever they are. Now, that's one of the decisions that has to be made when we set up a project. How we're going to measure progress. One of them is milestones. Is milestones subjective or objective? I don't know. I don't know.
It's a milestone.
No, wait with me. Milestones could be, is it subjective?
What do you mean subjective? Objective is not.
Something tangible. Yani, listen,
No, it's
if you have 4 pillars.
At a point of time, it's related to the time.
It's subjective, it's not objective. One of the failures of earned value is using progress methods that are subjective, subjective meaning not, there's no static, nothing tangible, right? If you have, 6 pillars you want to build. If you have, from the 6 you have 4, so You say yourself, each time I finish the pillar, that's one. That's subjective because the pillar has finished.
But that's
But-
what
No,
else?
That's the way.
No,
How
they,
can it
You
be
reach that
subjective?
goal, you
excuse me, I don't want to go into this. I'm not qualified, but I know there are 7 methods to measure earned value. Speak to Gina, read the books. I'll send you an article, and there's a detailed explanation. That's one of the things we have to document. That has to be put in our system. Again, procurement. I sent an article the other day about procurement. There's a whole chapter on procurement. Believe it, it's not one measurement. You have to break it down into 6 stages to measure procurement. Okay, items that are purchased. Okay, because this is a big issue. How do you measure progress of procurement? Well, we got the items, we put them in inventory, we say this is 100 completed, or you put them in inventory, you issue them to the activity, then you treat it. There's a whole chapter with about 25 pages on how to measure progress. So, milestones to me is a measurement, one of the 7 measurements that has to be decided when you set your WBS to the kind of, for each activity, how you want to measure it. And that's what I'm saying. There's no system in place, okay, saying, oh, let's use milestones. For all of them? I don't know. I'm not the person to judge.
No, milestones are not used for all of them. Milestones are intervals that will, let's say, it's like you do a quarterly
Is it subjective
check.
or objective?
It's that. It doesn't, you can do it both. It can be both at the same time. Okay?
You said it's a timely set, milestone is timely set. Okay, a milestone is not subjective.
Sometimes it's imposed upon you by the client.
Fine, that's fine. That's good. It's better than nothing.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Like I mentioned in the example here. Anyway, okay. Here you're going to see something on PMO. Who knows what the PMO is? A PMO is a project management office. This is one of the challenges that we have. Okay, when we set people and when we set procedures. Okay. Now. Why do companies set up a project management office to manage projects? Why do they do this?
Without management, you cannot.
No, why?
Support the project.
To support the project. But why do companies set up a PMO for cost control? Okay? To be able, look, there's 3 types of PMOs. I don't want to go into them, supporting, controlling, and directive, and there's an explanation of each one here. Okay, but I'm not here to discuss the PMO, but the issue, why do companies set up a project management office?
To control the project.
Okay, and to have
And
a set of guidelines, reporting.
To help the project manager managing the project
Yes,
from all
yes.
aspects.
To ensure that everything works according to the guidelines that have been set. Yeah.
Within the budget.
Within the budget.
The time schedule.
And
Within the quality of work required.
To try and.
At the level of the company,
Yeah.
To make sure that the company
succeeds to utilize the resources for the other company.
What else?
so we speak the same language. So we all speak the same language. If you look at our setup right, Hisham, if you look at the setup at the moment, when you look at cost control, but before we look at the setup, we've got 2 companies, Canara and Emcom, do you agree? We have estimators, do you agree? We have planners, project manager, executive, right? So we have 2 isolated companies. Are we following a set of common standards in everything? No. Okay, now another thing. Let's talk about cost control. How many cost controllers do we have scattered in the department? Right? We have a decentralized cost control system. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, khalas, that's it. Because we have a decentralized control system, we don't speak the same language. We'll always be comparing numbers differently. He'll come up with a number, he'll come up with a number, he'll come up with a number, and we waste time trying to reconcile. That's because we don't have one version of the truth. We don't have one cost control system in place.
But if you're going to establish uniformity,
Yeah.
uniformity has to be not only in the WBS system,
Yes,
it's how you
everything.
control the
Yes,
WBS, everything.
yeah.
Which is, I discussed with you the other day, there has to be in terms of the structure of the prelims that channel the project's efforts, how we get the money in,
Yeah,
and all of that has to be consistent, and even the overhead has to be consistent, has to be evenly distributed.
yeah.
All these things have to be done if you're going to have a consistent approach to cost monitoring or cost control.
Yeah, well, again, we go back, we have a decentralized cost control setup, and we spend time reconciling. We don't have a standard reports. Even when we have IFS, we finance producer report, projects, cost controllers. So this is the issue. So a PMO in place.
You have two companies. You cannot consolidate both of them.
No.
That's not what he's saying.
That's not what he's saying. That's not what he's saying.
He said there has to be consistency in the way they operate.
Yeah. Even let me talk something about laborers, okay? About laborers. One of the big problems we've had with laborers, let's say IMCO, you get people for a project, and of course the ministry has this quota for us, government rules. But the beauty of IFS and any system is you as IMCO have laborers, and you have the freedom to shift them left and right to any project that you want, okay? All right? And you can consolidate viewing a histogram in IFS to see, like, if you want an electrical engineer here, or you want a driver here, you can move them left and right. So you can manage your whole labor force using IFS. Again, this is the tool, it's smart, we're not using it, all right? And the same thing for IMCO, for Canar. So we can consolidate them. But here we have a defragmented set of systems. Like I said, if everybody was in the system, and you have the resource rates, and you know he's working with a histogram on this project, and when you get another project, you can go and say, I can now, when this project's finished, I'm going to have some leftovers, I can move them left to here without having to recruit people. Then, then you're beginning. And we have all this in place, okay? Again, maybe you don't know about the features, but this is very important. So the system is geared with a project module to have all this. Anyway, back to this. To implement an earned value management system, one of the guidelines, there's something called this 748 guidelines. There are 32 guidelines, okay? And all these have to be documented. Not all of them, but I'm saying these have to be documented. Do ISO do this for us now? No, ISO don't have it. So we need to document this before we can do anything. And the red ones are the ones we need to. We don't have to. We can actually only use 10 of those to start using earned value, 10 out of 32, which is great. But unless you have these documented and agreed upon, all the stakeholders agree upon this, we can't move on. Again, that's what I was talking about, the foundation, all right? And of course, I went through some of them, and AKM was telling me, well, we have this. Great, let's document it, let's see it, so we can have it for Canar and for everybody. So this all needs to be done, okay? I don't want to talk about this. And one last thing here is I've discussed with some people about revenue. They were telling me we were using revenue payment milestones as a means for earned value. Seriously, I've heard it about 3-4 times. And I decided to, because I'm not a specialist, okay? I know what's revenue milestone got to do with a milestone for progress. Revenue is on a different plateau. Revenue comes with revenue, with the profit margin, the performance for earned value comes here. So guess what I decided to do, and I'd like you all to, I want to share this with you. Okay, so this is never brought again, so if anyone tells you this, you can answer some of these. I went and I posted this on a forum. Okay, this is what I posted. I had a hard time trying to convince someone the other day.
Oh, I think yes, revenue.
No, but in a way it can be done.
Compare cost to cost, but
No,
cost of actually completed work.
No, you can.
Actual
You can say, come here, okay. If my milestones were aligned, my payment and progress milestones were aligned, and I know the profit margin, I can say, I've got this revenue at this time, and I can take the margin off it and assume that to be my earn. But again, if they were earned. But anyway, I posted this, and I will share with you some of the feedback I got from some of the earned value management specialists who have at least 15 years experience in project management. Okay, just read their answers, and just keep some of you. Okay, this is the first reply. Agree? Agree. Are you gonna love the last line?
No, but in the last sentence in the first paragraph, if one just tracks spend versus plan,
All you have is a plan to spend all the money.
That's right.
Yeah. I'll send it to you, but yeah, all you have is a plan to spend all the money. That's Ray talking about his American style language. Okay, should we go to the next screen? Okay, I'm going to go to the next screen, and I'm now. I can share this with you later if you want. Give you the link.
No, we want with you on the net, they share it with us.
Order recitation.
Absolutely. And this guy, read this what he says. He says, I don't fully agree with my colleagues, but in a way he does agree because I contacted him. He's assuming that the payment milestones should be aligned with progress milestones.
It can never work that way.
Okay, I'll show you.
Exactly.
I'll show you what one Arab guy says already. Typical Arab feedback reply. This is one lady about recognized revenue. Again, IFS, we have something called recognized revenue. We're still not using that feature. Okay, and hopefully sometime in 2018 we'll touch on that. A lot of people tell me ERP systems are not EVM systems. That's because they're comparing the SAPs and the Oracles. The SAP and Oracle does not have a project module. IFS does. So IFS is an ERP with an EVM system project module. It's not one of the best project modules.
You can bring XYZ and tell us use it, and this is the procedure, this is how you use it, that's it, it becomes a process.
And we'll show you.
You don't go and try to convince people it's good, it's doable, and all this stuff.
It's not.
What I'm trying to say, a company decides, okay, the shareholder, I mean, the managing director decide on an issue, okay, they come and impose it.
How? We've been trying for 5 years.
You give them the procedure.
There's no issue.
What's that?
Who am I to give the procedure? I can't give a procedure. I don't own the system. I am the custodian of the system. This is for you. You're the end users. There's a CRM system, there's a maintenance module, there's a project modules, there's a procurement module. There's also, so that's what we're saying. This is a system, it's in millions, and we've trained the people. We had 28 super users, we had 7 BUCs, users who were trained. To date, there is no ownership of the system. Full stop. Full stop. There is no ownership by the end users because there's so much I can do. I can't.
Create an IFS department.
What do you mean? Create an IFS department? What does an IFS department
Okay,
do?
I want to ask you a question.
Let me continue to the next one.
Primavera, who owns it?
Who owns Primavera?
Yes.
The planners. And they're using it.
Okay, the planner. Okay,
Yes.
the planners. So then you do have a planning department.
No, what IFS has got nothing to do with this. Okay, no wait. IFS is an ERP meant to be used by every person in the company based on his job role and his job function. Bella.
I'm not, if I'm gonna be using it, then you have to train each and every person in the company.
Not me. I don't train you. I don't know this.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying you as a company, as an entity.
There's your trainer. She's sitting right there. There's your trainer. She's what's left of all the BUCs and Jerry. Okay, they're the people, they were meant to train everybody. Okay, people come and go in the company, right? You came and brought from SDFA. So you're the trainer, there's meant to be a role for you in the system. But that's what we're saying is, we need this ownership, we need the critical mass. Let me go to the last one, wait, let me go to the last one and we can talk. This is it. This is the funny guy. The easiest way, tell your PM friends that the client's giving you 10% limbs up front. This has nothing to do with progress. The client doesn't care. So don't even consider using it. Anyway, I just wanted to share this with you, okay? Because, recently I got some feedback last week. And these are some of the articles that I've read. This, I recommend this book. This is a great book. The second one, I read it from cover to cover, and I took lots of highlights. My presentation was based on this book. The fourth edition, it's a really good book for earned value. It's very much detailed, and there have been so many articles. So what are we going to do now? What is our plan? Can we conclude this? We are in touch with a couple of consultants, okay? Earned value experts who will come here for 4 or 5 days and see how we do the work, confirm we're doing earned value in spreadsheets, meet with some of you to get feedback and recommend the way forward to go with this. I said before we have an issue with processes and procedures which we need to address, but again, this is not our main issue. The main issue is that there may be an organizational change that may be required. That's why someone has to come to confirm this to the MDs, okay, regarding the setup of a PMO. Okay, so this is what we decided to do. We want to do it right. So at no point should we try, and Gina, I have your presentation, I'm not going to go through it now. Okay, at no point should we try to use IFS until we've got all this in place. And all this documented, training has been done, the system has been established, okay? I believe without a PMO, it won't work. We've tried for 4 years. Take ownership, do it, agree, someone document the procedures. ISO are doing their ISO stuff, they're not documenting this. Who's responsible to document this? These. Who's responsible to do these?
Project.
Yeah, exactly. And again,
I think.
thank you very much for your time. Jonah, switch it off, I've lost my voice. Oh yeah.